Hi, welcome. We're here to talk about the task-based learning cycle. Okay, in task-based learning, otherwise known as TBL, we design tasks that focus on meaning first. Why do we provide focus on form later in the task cycle? Why is it more important to allow learners to communicate, thus focus on meaning, and not provide explicit input about the language form until later? Why meaning first, form later? Hint, think back to theories of language learning. Try to come up with 3 reasons, and this information is also provided in your Doing Task-Based Teaching book. Okay, well, one reason is because focusing on meaning first and form later helps learners make sense of their experience of the language in use. They have a context which helps to make sense of the new language. Another reason, when learners are asked to notice language forms which make sense to them through providing this context, they are more likely to be learned. So the forms come later after context is established first. It also, again, with thinking about theories of language learning and the affective filter, it provides motivation so students feel that they don't have to get the accuracy of the language correct. They can just play with using the language first. The focus on form provides answers to questions about the language that learners have already begun to ask themselves after they've been playing around with the language in context. So again, one feature of task-based learning is meaning first, that is, communicate, use the language. We'll worry about whether you get it right later on. And then form and accuracy are dealt with later. Well, let's try it. We'll go about planning a task-based cycle. So imagine this is your course book, and there's an activity around the theme of a night out. And the learners see these pictures. How would you organize this task for your learners? What work forms would you include? What sort of activities, that is? And what instructions would you give? Well, let's plan one together, a task-based cycle. Okay, first, step 1, we provide some input in a pre-task. This could be a think, pair, share activity where learners talk together about the theme, right? We generate interest, establish any prior knowledge about where do you go with your friends when you go out at night. Now again, we presume a certain age level of the learners involved here. If they're really young, like 12 or 13, then you could change it up to where do you think people go out when they go out at night? The next phase, step 2 of the pre-task, could be that learners watch a video about friends going out at night, but the teacher stops the video right before the end. And then the learners are asked to discuss, what do you think the 2 friends will end up doing? So this is a prediction activity. And then once they've had some time to discuss and predict, the whole class shares their ideas, and then the ending is shown. So again, this establishes interest in the topic and any prior knowledge. Now, the focus here is on meaning. How does this task focus on meaning rather than form? Well, because they haven't learned the language first. That isn't relevant. The point is that they're just interested in the topic right now. So it's more about communicating. Okay, we're still focusing on meaning rather than form. So if they get the language wrong, we're not too worried about that at this stage. This is a during task. Now, step 1 could be put the students in pairs and they do the task in twos and plan the night out. Then you mix it up that one pair is matched with another pair, so now they're in groups of 4, and they discuss their ideas and any similarities and differences in their plans. Then the next during task, step 2, could be, building on this, that each small group, say of 4, rehearses presenting their night out. Because what will they have to do? The outcome is that they're going to present their plan. So here they get a chance to rehearse and practice it. And as they're rehearsing, the teacher walks around the room, helps them if they need it, noting down any language points that will be highlighted later. Now, what if you're teaching online? Well, they're in breakout rooms, and the teacher is popping in and out of the breakout rooms, monitoring how they're doing, and again, noting down any language that they may be struggling with or getting wrong, and highlighting this later. So again, right now we're focusing on meaning and not form. The during task, step 3, here's part of the outcome. The class listens to the night out plans each group has come up with, and learners can ask questions after the presentations. The teacher gives feedback on the content and quickly reviews what was suggested. Students vote and choose one of the nights out which they think is the most fun. Then the post-task, this is where language feedback can be provided. On the board or on the projector, the teacher writes correct phrases used by the students during the task and incorrect phrases or sentences from the task. The students in small groups or pairs discuss how to correct the incorrect sentences. And then the teacher leads a whole group in discussion of the correct language. Now again, this is the focus on form. This is where they're learning about the accuracy involved, right? And making sure they get the language right. So maybe, what's the language? Perhaps they're learning to use the future tense, right? The going to future. So for example, in planning their night out, Jenny and Tanya are going to the swimming pool to drink champagne. Mary and Rita are going to a nightclub to dance. These people are going to eat burgers. These people are going to a movie. Okay. Now, maybe you're thinking, wait, but how can they even do this if their spoken English is very low level? Well, fair enough. They may do some of this task in their native language, in their mother tongue. But you can also, again, this is where the cycle and a lesson series comes into play. You can plan to give them, say, a video to watch about the going to future that they watch for homework before this class. Or perhaps it's a unit you've been working on before you do the task-based cycle. All right. Now, what we see in Willis and Willis is the following diagram, and this can be used in your own assignment, in your methodology, your BO4 assignment. The pre-task introduces the topic and the task. The teacher explores this with the class, helps the students to understand instructions and to prepare. And then within the actual cycle, students do the task in pairs or small groups while the teacher monitors. Students prepare to report to the whole class. This may be oral or written, depending on what the assessment aim is. They report on how they did the task, what they decided or discovered, and then they report. Some groups present to the class, exchange written reports, and compare results. So this really is the main outcome, right, where they're reporting to the big group. And then the language focus is the last phase in the cycle. So students examine and discuss specific features of, for example, the going to future. And they practice. This could be given for homework. The teacher conducts some sort of practice with phrases and patterns right? So then they're given a worksheet or a chapter to do at home on the going to future, where they perhaps write sentences of their own plans for that weekend, or they fill in the blank in a worksheet. So yeah, we see that they're given exposure to the language, highlighting words and phrases, modeling the task. Then there's a focus on meaning. They use the language to plan, focusing on meaning first. And here this gives them motivation to do the task because they know that they'll be reporting to the whole group. Here we focus on form in the language used. And here again, there's attention to form and then further practice. So let's answer these questions again from Willis and Willis, page 13, providing examples from the task we've just looked at. Does the activity engage learners' interest? Is there a primary focus on meaning? Is there an outcome? Is success judged or evaluated in terms of the outcome? Is completion a priority? Does the activity relate to real-world activities? Well, yeah, it engages learners' interest because it involves a social activity most consider fun. Is there a primary focus on meaning? Yes, the focus is on communicating ideas. Is there an outcome? Well, yes, they plan a night out and they report this to the group, and their success is judged, evaluated in terms of the outcome because the best night out is chosen. Is completion a priority? Well, yeah. They're meant to do something in front of the class or share something. Does the activity relate to real-world activities? Sure. This is something they may actually do in life. I hope this video has helped to make clear what a task-based learning cycle can look like. Thanks for watching.